All right, nice. Okay, so I call this meeting to order at 7:05. Are there any additions or subtractions to the agenda? Phoebe,
Strike TRF, please.
Anna,
Can we also strike the SBC programming fund? Thank you.
Daniela,
Can we strike ASRF, please? Thank you.
Alicia,
Can you please strike ARC allocations? I'll have more on that next week.
Josh,
Hi, can we please strike capital contingency, please? Thanks.
and Devon.
Hi, can you strike that, please?
Alicia, is that a new hand?
Yes, I was wondering if I could do a spoken officer report today.
Awesome. And Josh, is that a new hand? Okay. All right, any more? Going once, going twice? Okay, if not, Daniela?
Sorry, actually, I was just reminded that I would also like to give a quick verbal report too. I have more updates on the NR grades from fall quarter that I'd like to share.
Okay, awesome. All right, anyone else? Okay, if not, can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda for January 10th, 2023.
Can we get a second?
I second.
Alicia motions, Eliana seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay. Okay, and by a vote of 11-0, the motion passes and the agenda for this week is approved. All right, next up is minutes. I think the last minutes we had were from last year. So yeah, I hope everyone was able to review those. I see a couple hands raised. Are those old hands, or does anyone else? Juan, do you have something to say? Or okay, Alicia, Milan. Okay.
Sorry, that was an old hand.
No, that's fine. I just double checking. All right. Okay. There's no additions or subtractions to the minutes from our last meeting. Can we get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay. Can we get a second?
A second.
Okay. Devon motions. Naomi seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. All right. Okay. And by a vote of 11-0, the motion passes and the minutes from our last meeting is approved. All right, now we'll be opening the floor up for public comment. Public comment is a time for individuals to come from the UCLA community to come before council and express any questions, concerns, or comments that they may have. So if you are in attendance in the audience, please raise your hand to be promoted to give public comment. I see we have one hand, Bradley. And we got, okay, Clara.
Hi guys, it's me, Claire. I'm the South Creek chapter chair here to give our quick update on what we're doing. So first, if you hadn't heard, we actually won our campaign last quarter to get LAC styrofoam free, which is really exciting. And I want to shout out that one of the things we submitted to City Council was a USAC resolution. So thank you so much for contributing. And right now we're having our winter recruitment drive to get lots of new students involved this quarter. And so we're doing a bunch of cool events for our campaigns and also giving announcements in classes. So far, we've made announcements in 20 classes and have over 100 students interested in getting involved already. So that's really exciting. And we're also going to be running 3 different campaigns this quarter. We're working on a new environmental campaign to protect our oceans. So we're calling on Governor Gavin Newsom to make 30% of California's waters marine protected areas, which are sort of like national parks, but in the ocean. And we're also going to be continuing our work to fight plastic pollution, but with a corporate campaign to advocate for Amazon to start shipping plastic free in California. And then we're going to continue our basic needs campaign from last quarter, advocating for open access textbooks at the UCs. And we're also going to be working with our homegrown homelessness campaign to partner with LA City Council to try to get some more policies passed in LA. And lastly, our basic needs campaign is putting on a benefit concert on Friday. It's going to be super cool with lots of student performers. So I'm going to post the RSVP link in the chat if you wanted to share it with anyone. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. I hope you guys have a good meeting and a good quarter.
Thank you so much. Okay, next up we have Bradley.
Hello, my name is Bradley, and I'm the external vice president of IEEE UCLA, which is the largest electrical engineering club on campus. I'm here to express my grievances accessing funding for our hackathon Idea Hacks that we've been organizing for several months, and it's taking place in less than 2 weeks. This hackathon, it's an incredibly valuable resource for hundreds of students to gain hands-on engineering experience that they cannot get anywhere else. But the slow or honestly often complete lack of responses from on-campus funds have really hindered our ability to provide this resource for students. We're specifically waiting on money from BOD, ARC, and ASRF, which is vital for several large orders with both on and off campus vendors that need to be finalized in the next 2 to 3 days. So by the end of this week, and I'm really anxious about the compressed timelines induced by delays in these funds. Specifically with these funds, ASUCLA requires payment for our venue, Ackerman Grand Ballroom, by next Wednesday, which only leaves 1 week from today to receive our allocations, submit the paperwork, and have GSA process it. Catering from ASUCLA requires us to finalize our order by the end of this week, and I'm not able to do so until we know what our budget is that we have for food. I'm really anxious about these timelines since just a few days is significantly less than the several weeks GSA recommends giving to process the paperwork. BOD is one of the primary funds for our event, and it's unacceptable that we were uninformed we would be receiving our allocations only this week after applying 2 months ago. We need to receive this allocation in the next 2 to 3 days, which we were told, but I'm not sure if that's going to come through to meet the aforementioned deadlines, as our budget should ideally have been finalized last quarter. Moreover, ARC has only ever responded to me once, and they informed me that we had funding, but that it's not been finalized. They haven't replied to any of my emails over the past month requesting to move forward with orders, which further has hindered our deadlines and makes me wonder if this money is actually even available. Lastly, ASRF unexpectedly closed last quarter, and they told us to reapply this quarter. So I did that this morning, and I'm just requesting here that they expedite our application just to get that moving forward. Overall, just the lack of communication and consistent delays is really hindering our ability to support this resource for hundreds of students who will be attending our hackathon. I'm doing my best to consistently communicate our needs over email. And I understand that those managing these funds are students, but I don't know what to do at this point after just not receiving any responses from these funds.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bradley, for that. Well, I see and council members, I know you guys want to speak, but this is like the time for the public to speak. So, Bradley, if you want to stay on when those council members give their public comment, that'll be awesome. I see we have a Michelle. Did you want to speak as well?
Yeah, hi. So this is Michelle and my name is Hannah, and we're actually the SWE outreach co-directors. And so we're having a similar issue to Bradley. So first off, we did want to thank you guys for hearing us out because we know that this is as important to you as it is to us. But we are aware that USAC has had delays in funds, and we are trying to put on 2 different events this quarter involving outreach to elementary, middle, and high schoolers, both coming to campus and virtual. And to do this, we want to offer them food. We need to offer them activities in different rooms and facilities around campus. So we are going to we do need to be aware of how much funds we actually have, and because we really do want to empower and diversify engineering. So specifically, we're concerned about the Community Service Mini Fund and ARC. We have not applied to these funds yet, but because we have heard that there have been some issues, we will submit them very soon. We were just wondering if we can kind of have an update on this timeline to make sure that we do get these funds in a timely manner for our events. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Do we have anyone else that wanted to give public comment or, okay. So thank you so much to the public members that came today. I want you guys to know that, you know, we hear you. The officers that are in charge of those funds will be giving their updates here under our next category. So they'll be speaking in regards to that to answer any questions that you may have. Okay, so you know, you all can stay here and just kind of, you know, hold tight while we go through our funding aspect, and we'll see if we can get those questions answered for you. Okay. So first up, we have contingency programming. Josh.
Hey, everybody. I know some people just came in talking about some funding stuff. I know at least Bradley had some tight timelines that contingency can't probably work with, but in general, contingency can fund a lot of items that most other funds can cover just for future events. And we do constantly chug along, including today. So for our report today, this is inclusive of winter break and the campus closure timeline, which is why the numbers are a lot bigger than normal. This includes probably around 3 weeks worth of activity, roughly $15,000 each week, which is normal, but just as the caveat here. So this week, we're announcing a total contingency request of $57,555.13, again, inclusive of winter break and campus closure timing. And we have a recommended allocation of $47,011.50 across 47 non-USAC related events and 2 USAC related events. And happy to answer any questions on that because I know the timing's a little strange with winter break. And I will put that in the chat right now as well.
All right, thank you so much, Josh. If no one has any questions, concerns, or comments about that, can we, and I see the 2 hands raised, we'll give you individuals time to speak when it's, you know, when we're speaking about the specific parts of funding and when we get to your officer reports. Does anyone have any questions about what Josh just mentioned? If not, can we get a motion?
Move to approve the contingency funding.
I second.
All right, Eliana motions, Devon seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand.
That was Sarah, I think.
Oh, sorry about that. Sarah motions. All right. So I see we have 12 council members, only 11 voting right now.
I think Phoebe's sadly having something with Zoom. Phoebe?
Okay, we'll come back. Okay, by a vote of 11-0, the motion passes and contingency program is approved for the week. Next up, we have SFS allocations. Juan.
Hi, y'all. For SFS this week, we have a total request of $2,270. Sorry about that. Let me and we recommend the approval of the $2,270 to 3 non-CSC affiliated orgs. Just a quick comment on that. If orgs are having trouble applying for SFS because of the USAC website being down, feel free to email your completed application to finance@uclacsc.org. And we'll be able to review your application in a timely manner to get the funding to you as soon as possible.
Thank you so much, Juan. All right, does anyone have any questions, concerns, or comments about that? If not, that is a consent item, and so it passes. Thank you so much for the work, Juan. Next up, we have Bruin Advocacy Grant allocations. Devon.
Oh, I asked earlier if that can be, did I ask? I'm pretty sure I asked if I can strike. If not, can you please strike it?
Okay, yeah, I think, yeah, it's supposed to be struck from. All right, next up, we have AAC travel mini grant allocations. Daniela.
Yes, thank you. For TGMF this week, we're allocating a total of $400 to 1 non-USAC entity, and I will also put that in the chat. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone have any questions, concerns, or comments about that? If not, that is a consent item and it passes. All right, and before we move forward, Alicia, did you want to speak on behalf? I know you struck this item earlier, but did you want to speak on in regards to the comments that we have for public comment?
Yes, hi Bradley. I was gonna say, again, I'm sorry. It was a very stressful time and like I barely got a funding director like in the very last half of fall quarter. That and the fact that, you know, it was break, it was really hard for a lot of my directors to be active because it was a time for rest. But because your event is coming up really soon, I'll take care of it tonight and I'll respond to you in an email whether we can approve your application just in the sense of urgency. Thank you for coming and expressing this concern. And then just in other regards, for the other people who came for public comment, I wanted to share the dates for the winter cycles and the spring cycles. They made a mistake on the newsletter for Seoul. They're not the correct dates. So I'll link them when I'm doing my officer report so that you know what to reference. Because we're doing ARC hiring and it's due this Friday, our applications are due this Friday. We're gonna have a stronger team. So please tell people to apply, just everyone, just for reference, please tell people to apply so we can have more support in ARC. It's just, it can be really hard for one person to take it all on themselves. So for winter 2023, for events between week 1 and week 5, the application opens Friday, December 16th, 2022, and it closes Friday, January 13th, 2023. So this Friday at 5 p.m. And then the hearings and allocations will be completed by Friday, January 20th. So Friday of week 2, that's for reference. And then for events from week 6 to finals week, the application will open Monday, January 16th, and it'll close Friday, January 27th. And then the hearings will be completed by Friday of week 5, which is February 10th, 2023. Again, I'm so sorry. It's just out of our control with the amount of people supporting ARC at the moment, but that will hopefully be resolved in the early half of winter quarter. I'm so sorry, and I'll give you a response by tonight about your application.
All right, Eliana.
Hi, sorry, because this isn't about the funding, but I just noticed we have a Gen Rep 1 proxy who's like under attendees, and I feel like it would make sense to promote them to panelists. Just wanted to make sure we notice that.
Okay, thank you. Can y'all promote the proxy for Gen Rep 1, please? And Juan, I know you want to respond to Michelle.
Yes, thank you so much, both to Bradley and Michelle, for coming on to communicate this to us. I do want to assure you all that we're on the behind the scenes side of things. We're trying our best to get the ball rolling on a lot of these funding bodies. I know for CS Mini specifically, we don't have quorum. We are still looking for some members to get appointed to that funding body, which because we don't have quorum and we don't have that appointment person that applied for that position is unfilled, which delayed an entire quarter's worth of work. So I completely understand and empathize with this situation, and assure you that for CS Mini, we're getting the ball rolling this week. So we should have more information late this week, early next week regarding deadlines regarding CS Mini application and additional information regarding that. Yes, but that's what I can speak on regarding that at the moment. But again, I appreciate you all coming here and verbalizing this. If you would like additional support, feel free to also reach out by email to the Community Service Commission email. for any community service support that you might need. And you can find our emails in the USAC website, but I think it's down. So here's in the chat. I'll add my email so you can feel free to reach out, and I can connect you to as many resources that we can for the time being.
And Sarah?
This is sort of related to funding. I was just wondering, for BOD funding, we are gonna get that approved probably this week within the next few days, but we wouldn't be able to approve it if we didn't do it at this meeting until next Tuesday, obviously. What is like the procedure on just emergency session if we want to get that approved? Or is that even allowed for orgs that need funding relatively soon?
Jessica, did you hear that question?
Yeah, so the question is for council to vote to approve the BOD funding? Is that what it is? Outside of the Tuesday meeting?
But yeah, separate from a Tuesday meeting.
So you can either do one of two things. You can either call a special meeting and convene that way on a non-Tuesday. You would just have to like notify the public. Or I think what we could possibly do, I know we have done this in the past, so I would have to look back at my records and figure out exactly how we did it, but it was specifically for funding. We did a vote by email to approve the funding allocation. So basically it's like to make quorum for voting, you set parameters like everybody's gonna review and vote at like 7 p.m. on Wednesday. And then everybody gets on, emails their votes, and then you can kind of tabulate it that way so that you at least get the funding approved and sent out to the student orgs, especially if they have events that the dates are close and they need the funds, and waiting would then make it retroactive allocation. You don't want to cross into that. So it sounds like maybe the best route would be to take a vote by email for the BOD funding if it needs to be done before next Tuesday. So let me look back through my emails and figure out how and what we did for that, and I can forward it to you all.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jessica.
Thank you, Jessica. And to the, the members that came from the public, thank you so much for coming again. And, like I said, we hear you out. And Dakota isn't here, who's the BOD, the director. But I'll be reaching out to email to him about this, because this is kind of like, and I'm on you guys' side with this. This is like kind of ridiculous. We've had a couple, different complaints. Like we had some complaints about this last quarter as well. So, if people need help, or bodies aren't staffed for quorum, then that needs to be communicated to council, because I'll try to help out and get people in those positions as well, because students shouldn't have to come to public comment every Tuesday and complain about not receiving funding. It's one of the most important things that we do is give funding back to the UCLA students, because they pay it with their student fees. So we got to make sure that we're, doing our jobs and giving them the correct, amount of money, or at least giving them updates, responding to their emails. So to the members who came today, thank you so much. And, you can CC me on future emails, and I'll reach out to Dakota and figure out what's going on, because like I say, this is like the 4th or 5th complaint that I've heard regarding funding. So we'll figure it out so that you don't have to come here every Tuesday. Juan, you wanted to say something?
Yes. On that same vein, I will be following up with appointment openings, like I've done previous last quarter, on appointment positions that are currently unfilled. So make sure to follow up with your staff to make sure that those openings and marketing materials are spread out as much as possible to get those appointments filled as soon as possible.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, now moving into officer reports. So for this week, my office, we basically just kind of had, 2 big meetings where we planned out the rest of the quarter. I have like a couple events to go to this week. There's the basic needs Center, I think is opening or something like that. I got invited to, me and the GSA president got invited to that. So we'll be attending the ribbon cutting ceremony for that. And other than that, honestly, most of what we've been doing is just kind of like preparing for this quarter and, you know, just putting out small fires where we can. So I'll pass it off to Internal Vice President.
I'm sorry, it's a bit loud. It's really crowded in here, but in terms of ARC, so I just sent out interview invitations for the recommended applicants for the next cycle. So next meeting will most likely have more appointments to go through, but it shouldn't be too many. And then for my office, the committees are meeting throughout the week. So week 1 and 2, like they communicate and they'll meet individually, but we'll have our first all-staff meeting for the winter quarter, week 3 on Monday. And we've also integrated our interns into our committee. So my office is really, really full and it's really nice. We have a lot of people working for us now. In terms of the events that we're doing, we have the Choosing Raise event in scholarship. I mean, you all have noticed nominations are closed, and my directors actually reviewed applications before Christmas with the crisis management team with DSA. And we're right now going to send out like which students are going to get those the awards, and then we're also planning the banquet. We filled out the phone form over the break, and we're working on the logistics for the banquet right now. We also have an off-premise clothing fair, which is really, really exciting. Everyone should mark it on their calendars because this is one of our big events. We have a graphic up already. It'll be Wednesday, week 3 from 11 to 4. We emailed landlords, and so far we have 14 properties that will be present. I'm in room slots right now, so definitely RSVP for that event. And then we are also working with the Housing Relief Fund. We met with them over the break, and we're still working on how to fundraise and raise money for our Housing Relief Fund. And lastly, we're working on our transparency report right now, so keep an eye out for that on our Instagram for next week.
Awesome. Thank you, Milan. All right, next up we have External Vice President.
Hi, folks. I hope you guys all had a restful break. I don't have too much. During the last time we met, my team and I attended a January UCSA board of directors meetings. I've been meeting 2-on-1s with my directors and my head of staff to kind of go over winter goals and plans. We are also in works of posting our quarter in review / transparency reports for the fall quarter. We're also prepping for Students of Color conference that's happening, I believe, next weekend at Davis. So we're kind of getting transportation, hotels, all of that stuff in works. We did not have an all-staff meeting yesterday, just so people can acclimate. We did have an exec meeting. I attended University Affairs, which is under UC Student Association meeting right before this, as well as last week. And finally, the UC Regents will be coming to UCLA, and so we are heavily prepping on the UCSA side and also within our office for them and for public comments if necessary. Yeah, that's all for me.
Thank you. All right, next up we have, I know that Keon sent a proxy that hasn't been promoted yet. I don't know if they wanted to give a written report or a verbal. Can you promote the proxy, please? Is it working? There you go. Hey,
Hi.
Yeah, hey, how you doing?
Awesome. Hey guys. My name is Antoine. I'm a proxy for the Office of Gen Rep 1. I hope everyone has had an amazing break and is excited to be back in school. Unfortunately, Keon is not able to make the council tonight because he is currently on a plane back from a conference in DC. He just wanted to update everyone on what the office has been up to. They're starting a club of the week on their social media accounts this week, where student-run organizations will be highlighted with information about them and how they can get involved. And everyone should definitely watch out for that and DM the Gen Rep 1 Instagram if you want your club highlighted next. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. Okay, next up, we have Gen Rep 3.
Hi, thank you. So the big thing, which has been ongoing over the break, is the student voice in the CAE. So that's been going well. There have been students participating. I did a few of the early meetings, and while I was off in Israel, our amazing Naomi Hammond very kindly represented us. So shout out to her. And yeah, it's been going well so far. Shout out to everyone involved. Shout out to Phoebe for amazing work, Phoebe and Naomi. And shout out to CE Director Spencer, who seems to be making a really big effort to reform this institution and make it fulfill its mission. So yeah, and if anyone wants, that's been cool. And definitely shows power speaking up. That's the main thing. I'm getting in touch with people on like the microgrants program, the Stop Internet Addiction program to get everything running after having been on break for a few weeks. And yes, appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Next up, Community Service Commissioner.
Hi, everyone. So CSC started off the quarter sprinting. So we have a few things coming up. The first is the Impact Conference, which is happening February 23rd to February 26th. The Impact Conference is one of the biggest civic engagement conferences happening in the country, period. And Anna is going to be one of our presenters for CSC, along with our service education director. Her name is Taryn. She's amazing. And the opportunity to represent UCLA is open to the entire UCLA student body. So travel, lodging, conference costs and fees, food, is covered and sponsored by CSC. So if any of you or anyone you know is interested in attending the Impact Conference, please apply. More information is available on our Instagram at UCLA CSC. The other program available is the CSC Fellowship. It's a 2-quarter-long fellowship starting February 6th. The deadline to apply is January 22nd. For the fellowship, there are 6 fellowship positions open. This opportunity to get to know what CSC does, get to collaborate with the projects, the 41 projects under CSC, and put on your own service project in the spring quarter, and transition into a potential directorship role next year in CSC. The next thing is we have a nonprofit networking night happening January 23rd. So that will be posted soon and be open to the entire student body. Prepare for nonprofit networking night and getting all of your connections ready. Make sure your resume is polished up. And the last thing that will be shouting out today is the CalPERG benefit concert that is happening this Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. in the Northwest Auditorium. If you're not able to attend the CalPERG concert on campus on the Hill in the Northwest Auditorium, you can also Venmo a donation to the LA Food Bank. This benefit concert is to support the LA Food Bank. So you can, if you go to our UCLA CSC Instagram, you'll also see the post about that benefit concert. So please, for these last 3 things that I brought up, I would appreciate you council members to push it out on your Instagram. It would be amazing to get as many applicants and donations for the concert as possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up, we have Facilities Commissioner.
Hi, everyone. So the Facilities Commission is publishing our fall transparency report this week. So we already have our project committee's transparency report up on our Instagram. So if you want to know what we've been up to in the fall quarter, you can check that out there. The Green Initiative Fund, we're starting up our allocation meetings again. Just wanted to remind everyone that we have a new program called PGF Tokens of Appreciation. So if there's anybody that you know that is doing sustainability work that benefits undergraduate students at UCLA, you can tell them to apply to our mini or main fund and include TGF tokens as one of the line items. It's a $150 max per quarter Bruin card deposit or a gift card. In terms of what the commission is up to this quarter, so I'm just pulling up some notes real quick. We are having our Bruin Bazaar clothing swap events during week 4 and week 8. We're working on those reservations of Bruin Plaza now. We are also have our Environmental Justice Now Committee working on some projects with the Gen Rep 3 office, working on improving sustainability and ethics in food sourcing at ASUCLA eateries. And they're starting up work again with Ethics Merch and the Buy Your Value Steering Committee to see what types of sustainability procurement that we can have for like clothing items, whatever items that UCLA stores sell. We also have our Sustainables Committee that worked on the UCLA mobile app sustainability update and are still working on the reusable diningware and mug program. On our access side, we're meeting with Carol Ann from DCP later this week to start up the MetaMap project again, which is the map of accessible routes on campus. And our Building Our Space Committee is working on for stickers in bathrooms that say feminine products, we're changing it to menstrual products. And we already have a finalized sticker on facilities management. They're still working on that. And we're conducting a study right now about space preservation on campus. So our director is just distributing that survey and seeing how we can improve that process. And then our transportation committee is working on creating advocacy material for the Sepulveda Transit Corridor alignment meetings happening and survey materials for our transit pilot. And they also want to run a referendum potentially to increase funding for transit to all UCLA students. So if anyone's interested in any of that, specifically the Sepulveda Transit Corridor advocacy, or potentially even a referendum, feel free to let us know. I think they want some more support on that. And yeah, I think that should be it for now.
Thank you. Daniela and Alicia, I'm sorry, I forgot you guys want to do spoken reports. Alicia, I see you have your hand raised. You want to go first?
Oh, sure. Thank you. So I don't know if I have too many updates. I guess for this quarter, one of them was going to be to share the cycles for winter and spring, but I'll be sharing those with Orlando to edit on the newsletter. And hopefully by the end of the meeting, I can also post it in the chat. Next, I'm just finishing up retreat details. Airbnb is kind of giving me a hard time, so I'm like trying to figure that out. We also have a hiring out right now for ARC, which is Art Restoring Community Fund. Please share that. Please share that. We also have hiring in CAC as well. There's executive positions open for directorship of World Fest and Word on Wednesday, as well as the chiefs of staff. And then we also have staff positions open for World Fest and Word on Wednesday. So if you know anyone, please share that with them if you think they'd be a good fit. And then we also have an arts fair coming up later in January, January 26th to be exact, in Bruin Plaza. There will be vendors and there will be workshops on how to do certain crafts. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. Next, we have a concert next week, January 19th. I think that's Thursday, at the Kirkhoff Art Gallery at 7 p.m. So be sure to check that out. It's student artists who are by POC. And then we also have Word on Wednesday tomorrow. So if you want to check out Word on Wednesday, that happens tomorrow at the Art Gallery at 7 p.m. Something else is that we have Hip Hop Congress coming up next month. And right now I'm just working to figure out reservations with ASUCLA. Today I went to confirm Bruin Plaza for kickoff next month, but I need to go to the fire marshal tomorrow to make sure the event is cleared. And then reservations for Explosion and Fashion Show, but more on those dates later. They're still confidential, but I'm very excited for that whole month of programming. So I'm looking forward to it. And I'll give more information when I can. And then other than that, I do have one question for Jessica. Is it okay to apply to the TGIF fund with like two components of one series? So Hip Hop Congress wants to apply to TGIF, make an application for Explosion and make an application for Fashion Show, because that's what happened last year and it got approved, but we're wondering if we could do that this year. And
yeah, is it the same event? It's just two different components of the same event?
It's not the same event. It's two different events.
I would apply for them separately, because generally the way TGIF functions if it's one singular event with multiple components, then it can all go in one app. But if it's two different events on like separate days, then you can treat each one as its individual event and apply for specific pieces for each one in its own application.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, no problem. And also feel free, like we have office hours. Phoebe hosts office hours for TGIF, and then I also have by appointment only. So if anybody in general ever needs help with TGIF, feel free to come to office hours and we could chat more.
Thank you so much. I'll let my directors know. And that's pretty much it for me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Daniela?
Yes, thank you. I'll try to keep this short. I have everything else on my linked officer report, but I do just want to place some emphasis on updates about grades from the fall quarter and the remaining NRs, in case any of you have questions for yourself or you're approached by peers who have questions. So AAC is going to be working with the dean, the executive director of the Center for Academic Advising in the College of Letters and Sciences. She and I are going to send out a letter to departments through her front, and then we're going to lead some like outreach via social media. If you all could help share that information too when it's ready to be posted, I would really appreciate it. But basically, a lot of students have NR grades, which essentially just mean no reports right now because of the fall quarter and the result of the academic workers strike that ended after the fall quarter concluded. So because of that fact, TAs cannot go and grade any of that material, and thus professors are left with, or the instructor of record are left with that work. And that is probably playing into why there are so many no reports right now on student transcripts. So that being said, the deadline to submit grades was extended to January 2nd, but even then there are still students who don't have their grades. We are hoping that within the next 3 to 4 weeks, students will start to see their grades be corrected. But in the case that students have not seen a change in their grade by February 1st, please urge them to reach out to AAC via email. It is very important that they don't address this issue beyond this quarter. Please have them reach out by week 10, because by that point, it's going to be like a very emergent situation. And we're going to have to be working with perhaps like chairs of departments or deans of schools and colleges on a case-by-case basis, depending on what the situation is. But more importantly, we just want to make sure that students have support and that we can address their concern. Yeah, so if any of you have questions, I can raise them, or I'll try my best to answer them as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Danielle. I know there's been a lot of students complaining about that. I was gonna ask, do you want to make like an Instagram post that we all can share, just kind of letting students know that, because a lot of them are just confused right now on all of that?
Yeah, that's the goal. I'm actually looking at the drafted letter right now. I'm just waiting on the director to revise it to make sure that it's like an accurate reflection of all the information. So as soon as that's ready to go, we will make a post and then I'll share it with all of you so that you can help also spread the word. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, next up we have Financial Supports Commissioner.
Hi, everyone. I will keep this short and sweet. We have been, for financial supports, we have been handing out materials. We are all sold out, which has never happened before. So that's great. We are, you know, still talking to admin about the New York Times, so we'll see how that goes. We are renewing our contracts for discounts in Westwood. We are also working on, what else are we working on? We're also working on just like financial transparency. And then finally, this week, starting this week on Thursday, and then every Thursday for 4 weeks, we're having a series of financial workshops. So if you all can just promote it on your Instagram this week, in collaboration with the Blackburn Resource Center. So the first one is in Kirkhoff, on budgeting, the next 3 are going to be on the Hill, and the on taxes, financial aid, and investing. So, and as always, a lot of this is due to the amazing team that I have. And we're gonna plan a retreat this quarter that's gonna be super duper team bonding and fun, I think. Okay, that's it. I'm signing off.
Thank you. Next up we have the International Student Representative.
Hi everyone. Firstly, Happy New Year to everyone. I wanted to say thank you for last quarter and finally, like during finals week and working on that document that we all did. It did have whatever little impact it did, and I think that's really great. As for my office, so we were supposed to come out with our guide and basically the website that was supposed to be, if you guys remember, like a entire huge thing about everything that an international student needs when they come to UCLA. So we ran into a bit of a technical glitch remotely, but that should be sorted soon. So you should see that up hopefully within the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks. By the end of the month is now our goal. Aside from that, I just wanted to convey that I'm not on campus in person till week 3 because of a family emergency. So don't mind me if I'm replying to your emails at like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. because I'm still in India. And yeah, this quarter, we're also going to be working on our internship, like every other office. So look out for that. And as soon as you see that up, please do promote it because our Instagram does have a tiny reach compared to a lot of your offices. So we really appreciate that. But yeah, that's about it for me for now. And happy to work with anyone who has any cool ideas for international students. Thank you.
Thank you, Hanska. I hope everything's okay back home. Okay, and before we get into admin reports, one thing I forgot to update. So, I mean, I think everyone's aware that we have a new opening for the transfer student representative spot. I have 3 individuals currently interviewing for it, so I'm looking to wrap that up and have them come to council, or have one of those individuals come to council once we get them through ARC by Tuesday. And so if you have any questions or concerns about that process, feel free to reach out. You said it was not an open application? One?
Yeah, I'm asking for a clarification. Was it not an open application?
No,
Or-
it's an appointment that I make. So and honestly, it was like 3 or 4 people that already kind of heard about it as well, who already been like involved heavily in the transfer community. So they reached out, and I've been interviewing those individuals, or plan to. I still have like a couple interviews to do. Anyone got any more questions about that? Okay. All right, now we'll get into admin reports. Orlando.
Hello, everyone, and a Happy New Year. Just have one quick report, or update, I should say, is that SOL is currently this week and next week, we are registering new organizations. So if you are thinking of starting a new group, know someone that wants to start a new group, please send them our way, or they forgot to re-register last quarter. So this is also a new opportunity for those that missed that deadline. There are a few out there. Just send them our way. Have them reach out to their old SOL advisor. If they don't know who that person is, you can refer them either to myself or to the generic SOL email, and we'll work with them and getting them back up and running. So, but that's all I have. But if you have any questions, go ahead, just email me or contact me on registration.
Thank you. Jessica?
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Happy week 1. I hope you all had great winter breaks. So just want to give you a little bit more background info on the USAC website. Obviously, really awful timing for this to happen. But, you know, these things happen and we work through it and we try to get to a solution. So right now, we still are not 100% sure how or what got hacked. We think it was through our cPanel server, which is how we host the USAC website. So basically, UCLA IT services shut down everything so that if there is, you know, an ongoing threat, that we like essentially put a stop to it and prevent it from further attacking other sites that are also on that same server. So it has unfortunately also indirectly impacted like the TGIF website, for example, which is down currently. So we have a temporary solution to get the site back up. And hopefully we should see that happening in the next day or two. And then, you know, we're working with UCLA and ASUCLA IT folks to kind of figure out a solution going forward to make sure we address those security issues. And so if we think that this is going to take longer than like another day or two to get the site back up, you know, we'll just have to deal with how we publicize like funding links and like the rec form direct link so that students can still access it without actually having the website up and functional. So I'll be thinking more on that and, you know, how we can have those links available in an alternate location in the short term, just so that, you know, we're not totally you know, functioning without access to any of it. But yeah, hopefully I'll know more tomorrow and can give you all an update by email. And then the other thing that I was going to mention, so if you all have space on your agenda next Tuesday, I would like to have Mary Romo, who's our new programming manager for ASUCLA, come to give not necessarily a presentation, but just you know, an introduction to you all, so you get to know her and kind of the things she's working on, and also you know, to open up the opportunity to co-program with any of your offices, or, you know, if there's ideas you have for programs and services you want to see in the union. Mary's really our lead person facilitating that. It's a new position that ASUCLA did not have before. So we're in a really great time where we can kind of be really creative, and we really want to work with student government to, you know, really bring great programs to the student body. So if you all are interested and have space on your agenda next Tuesday to have Mary under like special presentations, but it won't really be a presentation. It would be more like, you know, her just introducing herself and talking a little bit about the programs that she currently has going on and opportunities to co-program with you all. That would be awesome. I can put her in contact with Carl and Milan by email so that she can connect. And then lastly, I was just going to update you all. So I was able to find in my email some record of when we did an electronic meeting to vote on the funding. So basically, you know, best practice would be to follow your bylaws to notice the public that an electronic meeting is going to be called. So I think it's 48 business hours before the meeting. So, you know, if you're going to have an electronic vote, the earliest you could do it, if you want to call it tonight, the earliest you could do it would be like Thursday at whatever time in the evening, or, you know, Friday morning, if that works. But essentially, you'll just set a 2-hour window to receive votes, and then Carl would send out the email with the attachments for the funding and any details. And then for quorum, so Carl's initial email will count as one person, and then you would need 9 additional votes to have a quorum of 10. So 9 votes within that 2-hour window would be quorum. And then from there, it's just a yes, no vote. And majority vote would pass the funding allocations. So you can do it that way if that's going to work out to get the BOD funding approved before any events occur. So that definitely would be my recommendation to move forward if you are on a pretty tight deadline in terms of needing to get it done before next Tuesday. And I'll go ahead and forward that email to you, Carl, so you can kind of see what it says. If you want to just copy that to send that out to council. And that's it for me.
Yes, thank you so much, Jessica. Yeah, if you could send that to me, that'd be awesome. And I'll just update individuals in the Slack and call you if I have any questions. Thank you. Next up, we have Lori.
Hello. Just a couple of things. Phoebe, I responded to your email about study nights. I'm super excited to bring some study nights back to recreation spaces for students to have more space. And then Anna, for you, I got a text from Edgar Jimenez in Res Life, and I'm not entirely sure SWC is the correct commission for this, but they are looking at possibly doing a community in Res Life for low cost housing, and they were looking for some student feedback. So if that's not your office, feel free to pass on or work with whatever other commission you want. I just was in a 2022 brain panic and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know, give it to SWC. So I think that's all I have. You guys know where I am if you need anything.
Thank you. And I see we have Steven here tonight. How's it going, Steven?
Hi, everyone. I don't have too much for updates on my end, but I will say that the Alumni Association's board meeting is coming up on February 25th. So just keep that in the back of your mind. If there's any specific concerns or opportunities for collaboration, feel free to reach out to me before then. So there's plenty of time, but just want to put that on the radar.
All right, thank you. And is Archie here?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. All right. Moving forward, we'll get into new business. So we have some AAC Senate appointment bylaw potential changes. So Danielle, floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry that I have so much for our first meeting back, y'all, but I'm gonna try to keep it short and sweet. So basically for items A through C, they're all just basic changes to update information about the appointments that are made to the Senate. So if it's okay, can I share my screen just to show all of you the changes? Or can somebody share the screen for me if that's best?
Yeah, I think Milan, are you sharing the screen?
I can give someone permission to, or if Jessica can change the permissions.
Jessica, is there any way you can give Daniela permissions to share screen?
Okay, I just updated. It should work now. I put it to host and panelists.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first change is just gonna update the committees to which AAC makes Senate appointments. There were some committees that sunsetted after the previous academic school year. So these are no longer made. And we added, or more so clarified, the additional subcommittee appointments that AAC makes, and then corrected some of the committees that sunsetted. So one of them being continuing community education, as well as the IAC, the Committee on Teaching. And then the Academic Senate also didn't mention the Mobile Steering Committee for Online Teaching and Learning this upcoming year. And then we also just corrected the placement of the Executive Board, the Committee on Library and Scholarly Communications, and the Legislative Assembly. So if anyone has any questions on that, I can answer those as well.
Does anyone have any questions, concerns, or comments? Okay, and these did go through CRC, correct?
They did, yes. At the time, Teddy was still a part of council and he voted for, so I just kept it at 3. But I'm not sure if that would change now.
Okay. I mean, I think if he voted for, I mean, at the time, if he was on council, you can put 4.
Okay.
And then if no one has any questions, concerns, or comments, can we get a motion to approve?
I move to approve the AAC bylaw change.
I second. Oh, sorry.
Okay, Sarah motions, Alicia seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, by a vote of 12-0, the motion passes, and those bylaw changes for Article 2, Section C4-F are approved. All right, I see you got some more up here. Floor is-
Yes, thank you. Sorry, let me just share my screen again. This one is really quick. It's just basically correcting the additional AAC appointments that are made. These are only to reflect the non-academic Senate appointments, but Faculty Welfare Committee used to be listed on there. But as you all saw, the bylaws that you just approved already mentioned Faculty Welfare Committee. So this is just to correct the placement. So if anyone has any questions on that, I can also take those. Liliana?
My bad. I have no idea why my hand is up. No question. Good work.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, does anyone have any questions, concerns, or comments? If not, can we get a motion?
Sorry, I move to approve the bylaw changes for AAC Senate Appointment Bylaw, Article 2, Section C5HB.
I second.
Eliana motions, Naomi seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. And by a vote of 12-0, the motion passes, and the AAC Senate appointment bylaw changes for Article 2, Section C-5 are approved. And you got some more?
Yes, the last set. So these are all under the same section, but the first is pertaining to the TSR's academic Senate appointment. So the TSR also makes an appointment to the Faculty Welfare Committee, so I just wanted to include that there. And then in regards to the Academic Senate Executive Board Committee, I also just wanted to clarify that the Academic Senate does permit the AAC to appoint a proxy on the executive board for a 1-year term. So I wanted to add that there for future clarification. So if there are any questions, I can take those.
Okay, does anyone have any questions, concerns, or comments? If not, can we get a motion?
I move to approve the bylaw change.
I second.
Naomi motions, 1 second. All in favor, please raise your hand. All right, and by a vote of 12-0, the motion passes, and the AAC Senate appointment bylaw change for Article 4, Section B-5 and Section B-5 are approved. All right, and then the last ones.
Yeah, thank you. So this is a discussion item because I didn't want to move forward with any bylaw changes yet before getting your thoughts on this. This is as a follow-up to what we discussed during the last meeting of fall quarter in regards to like the ARC appointment process. So I took some time to basically like rewrite the entire article section 2. And then I try to make note of like things that we could add or maybe move to make more clear. So not all of this is pertaining exactly to like finding a solution to that issue. But I'll try to summarize it, and then if you all had a chance to look at it and have any thoughts, please feel free to let me know. So the first change is just to correct what is my understanding of what the makeup of ARC is. So because it mentions that there are 5 members, I think that based on what it describes as the makeup of it should only be 2 additional members of the council that need to be selected. And I did want to raise this as a question because it just led me to honestly like be confused of our current ARC committee. So if anyone could provide clarification on that, it would be really helpful. But basically the reason why that is of confusion is because on here it mentions that there are members of council that are meant to already be part of this. So the IVP, FICOM as an ex officio, and then the TSR shall serve as one of the 5 members. So therefore that leaves us with only 2 remaining of the 5 appointments left. And yet we appointed 3 during the spring quarter. And so I just wanted to ask the question about like whether we are actually like following the bylaws and interpreting them the way that they were meant to be. Yeah, Naomi, thank you.
Well, technically, Keon's an alternate, but I feel like I don't know like why he was an alternate, but since he hasn't like showed up to so it doesn't really like matter, I guess. Like in retrospect, like I would just say we have 2 members, me and Hanzuka, like that were appointed, to be honest.
Okay. So maybe we should just like correct that then for the future. So I'll just leave that there. And then if anybody else has other thoughts on that. And then the next thing too is I tried to provide some more guidance on like the process of having the chair of ARC reach out to the appointing officer and notifying council members about the interviews that they're having. So before I used to just say like notify the council of the meetings and interviews and when they're taking place, but I think that it would be helpful to give like a time sequence, given that there is a time sequence in regards to like other processes of the ARC, such as like when appointments should expect to hear back and by which point in time they could make the decision themselves to attend a council meeting, which I think did play into the issue that we had last quarter a little bit with the appointment for e-board, because in the bylaws, it also states that appointments, even if they are not offered a position by ARC, then they can still show up to council themselves. So just stratifying that a little bit more. And then here, it was just basically like a formatting thing. I moved it over here because I tried to make the bylaws reflect like the process a little bit clearer, like more so a step-by-step basis, so that any incoming officer in the future, for example, could read this and have like a tangible idea of what it's supposed to look like to be in this role. So there are some changes in regards to that. And then this, I think, is a part that everybody had the most questions about. So the process of like, how do we move forwards in regards to a disapproval ruling by ARC? So this is just like all my current ideas. It can definitely change, but I'll just read it out loud. So I noted that if the Appointments Review Committee makes a recommendation of disapprove regarding an applicant, the applicant must either appear before the council for further review or must be withdrawn from consideration by agreement between the appointing officer / appointing search committee and the applicant. Neither the applicant nor the appointing officer can decide at their own discretion without the other individual's consent to have the applicant appear before the council for further review. In the case where the applicant wishes to proceed with further review, but the appointing officer does not elect to add the applicant to the agenda for approval, the applicant may choose to attend public comment to give insight on the situation to the council, at which point the council must listen to the applicant's comment and choose to add an executive session discussion to the agenda on the matter led by the appointment review committee and the appointing officer. The purpose of this executive session will be for the council to come to a final consensus on the appointment status by the conclusion of that council meeting and executive session. This must all happen within a week of the applicant's review by the ARC at the upcoming council meeting. So those are just like my ideas right now, but if you all have others, let me know and we can try to edit that before submitting a bylaw change.
All right, I know council members probably still reading through it, but I see some comments, agreeing, with what's currently written. I think it's well written as well. Does anyone else have any questions, concerns, or comments regarding this?
Okay, thank you. I think I put like the same thing for non-consent appointments as well. So that's pretty much it. I think the rest of the changes were just clarifications to what our appointments are. Yes, one?
For the additions for that, yeah, it's amazing. For the number 2, this must all happen within a week of the applicant's review by the appointment review committee at the upcoming council meeting. For that, I don't know, like just from like I'm not an ARC, so ARC, please step in and clarify for me. But just from my like outside knowledge of the way that applications and applicants are interviewed, does that 1 week timeline work? Is it like enough time? Because I know like for recent appointments, we've been like going through them really quickly, and that might affect, I guess, the timeline of this and the communication. Like we might receive an approval by like Friday, just in time for the agenda to be approved, so like how does I just want to make sure that that number 2 works for ARC in the review and the like review process of a candidate.
Yeah, Naomi or Milan or Hansika, do you all have any thoughts on that? Let me highlight it just so you can see.
I feel like worst comes to worst, council could always like vote to add their name onto the agenda. But yeah, others on ARC, any thoughts?
I'll share some thoughts. Sorry, I'm like still like kind of looking through. But from my knowledge, I think a week should be enough. Or maybe extending it might be a little like better, because I know that like just working with the applicant schedule, we want to be mindful if like they can't make it to next council or something, or if something happens. So maybe a larger timeline would like kind of ease like the pressure on ARC as well as the applicant to just have this done. Because I know it's pretty fast paced, but I think like that has been at the expense of like our schedules as well as like other applicants, especially because like we do send out those emails really, really quickly. And like we try to be really, really conscious of everyone's time, but sometimes just like the council and the timeline of council and like how the deadlines that we have, it makes it really, really inaccessible. So maybe increasing it would make it more accessible and make it more like allow us more time to have a little bit more thought. And that might help other officers as well in the future. But that's just my thoughts.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so just based on what I'm hearing, let me just offer some more context as to like why I gave this 1 week. It's because of the fact that like from the bylaws, it says that like even after the candidate is interviewed, by the next day at noon right here, they should know what their status is. So this 1 week process is pertaining to like everything that happens after that point, meaning that the candidate has already been interviewed. ARC wouldn't have to re-interview the candidate anymore. This is just like the point in time that the appointing officer and the applicant have to decide whether they want to move forward with the appointment or not, which is like the goal is that we could just have that all resolved by the end of this executive session, if we decide to move into one. So that being said, because I am hearing the constraints that ARC is pointing out with their process as is, would it be helpful to offer an extension for you all on the item in regards to like how long you have to offer a notification to applicants?
I think that might also be helpful for adding like the other clause, just in case there are more like no votes. I don't know how council, but I know that that would probably be helpful for future council members as well.
Sounds good. So, do you all have like any present suggestions of how long that period should be, or would you all like to have some time to think about that and then maybe we can touch base offline so that I can make the edit?
I think what would be helpful is maybe like an extension of a few more. I don't know when, like, I don't know, people are interviewed because it's pretty broad, like the interview times. But maybe when the agenda is released, that might be like nice, just so that they can attach the agenda to the acceptance email so that we kind of know. Or like, I'm not sure. Does anyone else have a suggestion? Maybe I can think about it a little bit more.
Yeah, we can think about it more if you'd like. So, wait, Carl, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, since this isn't a voting item, I guess you could just highlight that part in regards to, whether you're gonna extend the time for that specific section. Is there anything else you want to comment on regarding this?
No, that's pretty much all. There were some other changes that were made just to, again, like clarify appointments by each office. So if you all wouldn't mind just looking over that and maybe getting back to me within the next few weeks to confirm that they're accurate, so that we can just like have this entire article be corrected within the next few weeks, that'd be great. But yeah, thank you all so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danielle. I know that probably took a lot of your time to go through all that, so thank you so much. All right. Okay, and so I think that's all we have. I will be adjourning this meeting at 8:22 p.m. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Happy week 1.
No good in welfare? Sad.
I can keep it open if we all want to debrief on our breaks. I'm finally back in my dorm. Wait, I can turn on my camera, I think now.
Can you turn up the YouTube live?
Oh wait. I'm sorry, my background is